Back. We're going to wrap up this daily on Stephano, but first, review. In part 1, we saw what the Stephano build was in its purest form. Really clean to execute, or really easy to execute, and when done cleanly, you can just crush the front door. In part number 2, we got the chance to see, yeah, it does deal well with some variety. The first game we saw in part 2 was this gigantic aggressive all-in from MC, and we still held it fine. We even saw that bonus game at the end of part 2 where if an opponent is being way too aggressive with air, we can just counter and crush him. But the most important aspect of part 2 is that we saw there was this juncture problem. We're going to re-explore the juncture problem in this second game, or in another game in part number 3. And then after this, we're going to be exploring how Stephano solves it. Now, you're noticing I'm starting at 7 minutes because the build's the same from Stephano. 6 minute, double gas, 7 minute, Roach Warren, Evo Chamber, all that good jazz. Has triple expansion. He has this Overlord positioned by the gas geysers to check up on them. But in this game, MC is going for a Stargate. Oh crap, I didn't move my laundry into the dryer. Oh god, I'm gonna have just a big pile of wet laundry. Oh, that sucks. Ugh. Now, ordinarily, we like to think of the Void Ray Phoenixing player as one who's going to be doing a lot of aggression, picking off queens, doing all that craziness, but we're going to see from MC that passive airplay can deal quite well with Stephano's craziness. Oh, there's our extra hatch going on. So good. Stopping by the watchtowers first. So when did we start to go absolutely nuts? Well, around 8:30, we just start to flood the units up. We don't overbuild. Like, we don't have a spore crawler in the main, we just have one at each base, and we got, it looks like, one extra queen. Complete, total, non-overreaction from Stephano. Building many more overlords, rearranging all these other things. Now, what's cool is that all the phoenixes seem almost useless in this engagement. MC is going for something very standard, just 4 gates after his Stargate, as he gets his expand up. But impressively, we see that these phoenixes become very useful for dealing with these aggressive numbers of roaches. And the Void Ray has done nothing but just pick off stuff in the middle, hasn't even really engaged this at all. And is just pulling back for defense. And this just shuts Stephano down really cold. Now you'll note that what Stephano does in response is just get all his remaining geysers up and instantly go for this infestation pit. And he's going to be expanding here almost immediately as well. There it is. There is still a little bit of a juncture issue that Stephano is going to be dealing with. We see that he is at 65 drones. He is still trying to put on some pressure, and he'll be retreating quite shortly. But this is still very annoying. 5 phoenixes lifting up roaches one at a time, picking them off. Even though this isn't amazing, you know, we always fantasize about killing queens with Phoenix, but look at the units lost tab. This air has a lot of big flexibility against this mixture without being too Void Ray heavy, just a single Void Ray. Stephano is still getting this nice Spire tech up. And what we will see is that what Stephano is doing right now, look, 13-minute hive, getting this upgrade up, this is going to work magnificently if MC is going for Colossus. The amount of time it takes to get the Colossus up is really long, especially considering we saw air and stalkers and an expand. Oh lordy, is it going to take a long time to get those Colossi up. But instead what MC does is he just goes 10 Warp Gate Blink Stalker. There's the 10th one right there. We see a big flood of units coming out of MC. And again, we see that this is kind of a juncture problem. I mean, Stephano, I think very reasonably could have spent this money. We see he's not max. We see some larva sort of hanging out in the main here. And I actually think this larva has been popped off for some time. I think Stephano could have done it. So again, this is not to say the counter to Stephano's build is to do this shit that MC is doing. Instead, what I'm saying is Stephano tried to do some damage, and very reasonably and very quickly pivoted back to this infestor style. And even with this reasonable response from Stephano, there's still big dangers that we can succumb to. It's always in this juncture period. Stephano did not used to lose to pushes like this because he was going for 11-minute hives and 9-minute 30-second infestation pits. He would literally build no big roachling army. So with this nice timing push, Stephano is caught a little bit off guard. Again, every loss that you will have with a Stephano style will have some issue after the roachling aggression was done and before that Greater Spire could pop on out. So this very, very reasonable play by Stephano didn't work out. Now, I see in chat some people saying stuff like, well, this game, you know, this wasn't the fast max Stephano style. Why is he, you know, why is this being included? The idea is that people like to call it the fast max style, and I even included this in the title of the daily because people go, oh, I know what that is. But the style is not about maxing. That is a trait that sometimes crops up but doesn't need to. The idea is that if the Protoss is vulnerable, you can max quickly and crush him. But in some circumstances, you won't be able to max quickly and crush him. Or you will max quickly and it doesn't really work. So what ends up happening? You have to do some next step. In this game, Stephano properly identified that there was no break-in, so he immediately went for that pivot into the hive tech, and ended up giving him some issues. And of course, again, the big issue is always going to be in this juncture period, after roachling pressure is done, but before we've gotten our broodlord infestor tech. I guess I would call that the late layer phase. And we lose. Now, because I want to make this a zerg focused daily, I'm going to end on a high note and just show how some of the transitioning that you can do from the very simple build that we looked at parting, you can do some pretty complicated things that end up working out very nicely. Yes, this is Stephano versus Squirtle. We're still going to see kind of the same thing where it's like, ooh, there's some issues with this juncture period. But we're going to see, I think, Stephano do one of his better responses yet. So again, we are going to be able to go for a fast max style if it would behoove us to do so, but we do have the ability to pivot at any point. We get blocked, no big deal. We built a hatch here and then a hatch here, and as long as we get 3 queens up quite early, we're going to be pretty comfortable. At 6 minutes, we're going to take our 2 gas geysers. Here they come, chadoo. At 7 minutes, we're going to be getting Roach Warren and Evo Chamber. Oh, cool. Ha, nice prediction of that building placement. If we feel that we're not going to be under any pressure, we're going to go ahead and layer immediately at 7:30 and get Roach speed and Ling speed following this. With our next set of gas, we want to make sure to also get that missile attack upgrade. There was a little attempt at poking. Part of the reason why we got our Ling speed before layer, but either way, we're still getting a pretty damn early macro hatch. And as we see our Protoss buddy trying to go for this expand, we can start doing this kind of flooding style, where we end up breaking it. But I want to note that right around here, where is it? This actually is quite an early shift from Stephano. I honestly think the reason he shifted away from doing the big aggression is because this macro hatch was quite a bit later. I mean, we still have our 2 geysers that we can construct, but we see some production by Stephano. But then very, very rapidly, he just starts droning. I mean, he's at 53, wants to kind of get up to 63. And then he's just going to abandon this Roach Ling stuff and just instantly go for this infestation pit, this +1 attack. Instantly go for a 4th. He built some units, but not really that many. And is droning, up to 80 drones. Now, one thing that I haven't really talked that much about, is excuse me. There's the Ling Roach portion, the Infestor Broodlord portion, but the one thing I haven't been saying a lot in the Infestor Broodlord portion is drones. Drones are a pivotal piece of that puzzle because you need to have a much higher income to support Broodlord Infestor than you do for Roach Ling. You also need to get a lot of spine crawlers, so getting 80 to 100 drones is very reasonable if you are going for Broodlord Infestor with a lot of bases. So, Stephano starts doing this shift quite early. You'll notice that there's not really been any big pressure that Stephano has been putting on Squirtle. Stephano's certainly not going to get supply blocked anytime soon at 128 of 192. But as he starts to be able to afford it, he's going to be going 5 Infestor. He saw some Robo stuff going up. And this, I thought, was a very cute play from Stephano. He's still going to be trying to exploit this weakness that Protosses have from 11 to 13. But he's going to be incorporating the Infestors into this attack. He's actually using a good bit of Infestors in this mix. It might work out, it might not. But the best part is, if we decide, holy crap, this is failing, I need a retreat, we have our Infestors already finished. So it makes it a much more comfortable transition to Hive. We actually can go Hive literally right now. Now would be a perfect time to throw down that Hive tech. As we have not quite been able to break through, we can continue to put on some pressure. There's the Hive going down. We can even begin thinking about extra geysers. Excellent, Stephano's getting all his geysers up. But the same principles that we've been seeing executed last game, these multi-pronged attacks, they're happening later, sure, but they have those really, really potent Infestors in there to lob some eggs. Not a lot of fungals, mainly the infested Terran eggs. We're doing some cool target firing. Some cool split uppage. I saw the Lings pulling back. I was wondering if there was some Warp Prism craziness, but no, I guess I'm hallucinating. And you'll notice in this game, what's very nice is that when Squirtle does decide to push up, we already have these Corruptors done. Infestors are the first piece of the puzzle to getting to the late game, and then the Corruptors are the second one to be able to deal with the Colossus. And then finally, the last piece is the Broodlord tech. Getting them Broodlords out. So I like how Stephano has what I would call a late layer mix. Early layer mix would be the Roach Speed, the really basic layer tech. If you get some more expensive layer tech like Corruptor, Infestor, still Roach Ling, but heavily upgraded. He does have the 2-2 for Zerglings and a +1 for the Roaches. Not an easy, straightforward win. You're still seeing that of all times in the game, this is when Stephano has been weakest, but he just had a little bit stronger of a juncture. And now as he's going up to that Broodlord tech, he's much more comfortable. Jesus, Stephano aggressive. Holy crap, does that guy like attacking? What? He's insane. I think that's about it. Stephano wins shortly thereafter, and I want to make sure that we take time for questions. Also, shit, I gotta go to the airport. I have to pick up people from the airport. So we're gonna go ahead and take questions. Type questions in the chat as I show off my awesome Battlestar Trek Wars shirt. Great. From Nukes McGee. Says day 9, if MC can't kill Stephano before Stephano's 3 base economy is up, then what hope do I, a mid-level Diamond Protoss, have against the strategy? Based on the daily, it seems that Stephano lost his games more than MC won them. I would totally argue the opposite. It was far more so that MC won the games by good defense. You know, we see, like, I personally have a lot of success with the old Zealot Stalker pressure against Zergs, but I'm concerned that as I progress, Zergs are going to be able to defend my pressure while taking their fast thirds. I would say, if you are at any level of play in your Protoss, allow your opponent to go for a 3-base play. I think it's totally reasonable to maybe poke with some Zealot Stalker and that sort of thing, but I want you to emphasize thinking defensively with Gateway and Robo units. Just going for good old Sentry, Robo, with really good positioning, and you'll be able to defend almost anything. I hear a lot of people in Bronze to Diamond say things like, but as I get higher up, people won't lose to that. or people will start to be able to break my defense. And I know what I'm doing might not be good. It works now, but how do I worry about what happens later? Screw what happens later. One of my favorite philosophies is just let the losses come to you. So, for instance, our good Protoss friend was saying, I have a lot of success with the old Zealot Stalker pressure. Then keep doing it until you climb up to a level where it stops working. And then you'll start to see more clearly why. However, no matter what, just make sure that you're constantly falling back to that Sentry, Immortal, Stalker pressure, and be really aware of your placement. Don't fall into that trap of, well, I'm trying to wall off with gateways, and everyone walls off, but it's not working for me because Zerg's bullshit. Whoa, relax. And then you saw MC do that great defense where he didn't wall off with gateways at all. None. And that really helped him a lot. Yeah. A shiny Zergling says, Day 9, if your attack is held off and you're left with loads of roaches, would you still use them to pressure the front, or would you simply upgrade them and use them later? I will literally say this is the problem with this playstyle, is that roaches are just belong nowhere in the late game. So if your attack doesn't work, this is the cost of doing this play that Stephano did. You should maybe try to see if there's places where you can squeeze them in. If you can, don't be an idiot and sacrifice them. But you don't also want to fall into the trap of, you know, well, let me just try to focus more on the roaches, you know. Like, this is the issue with Stephano's play. It makes it sound like it's a fault of the play. The reason that this thing works and struggles is that you get a ton of roaches up early and they kind of must do damage. If you have done no damage and you still have roaches left over, like a lot, I will say the solution is not in this game. The solution is that in next game you need to recognize sooner that you need to halt roach production. Like anytime those larvae pop off, don't just be like, I have larvae. Arr! You know, you want to be able to look and be like, yeah, let me do another round of roaches with some Zerglings in there. I'm going to take one more. One more. Yes, and I would say a big key is to keep the immortals alive. Yeah, it was a little comment by the giant gnome. Ah, here we go. Last question from Aston Hole. Day 9, when I try to emulate the Stephano style and build order, many Protosses become privy to the fact of doing that very early chronoed 2 to 4 gate zealot rush. What's the best way to respond to that? So this would be like the early expand fast warp gate, and then just getting 4 zealots warped in to start to do damage at the 3rd. The biggest thing of all that you can do is run the drones. Just run the drones. Make sure the drones stay alive. You're going to be getting your Roach Warren started around 7. You want to have the Zerglings poking and prodding around, so that way, when the Zealots start to run up to you, let me rephrase that. There's 2 kinds of 4 warp gate pushes they can do. One comes at around 7 to 7:15 with no forge upgrade. The other one comes closer 7:30 to 8 with the forge upgrade. In both circumstances, you're just going to want to be pushing back with the Zerglings. In the case where he doesn't have the +1, it's coming earlier and you can only really rely on Zerglings and the Queen, but that's okay because they don't have the +1 attack upgrade, so you're going to be in good shape. With the circumstance where they are going for the +1, it's going to delay that 4-gate push a little bit. And what you have to do is just make sure that you get the inject landed on that 3rd hatch at 7:40, or I think it's closer to 7:30. If you land that inject, when the larvae pop off, you can build 4 roaches right there at the 3rd, and then they'll pop up, and you'll have lost a lot of lings, but you'll eventually shove back with roaches and be good. I'm done. I have to go to the airport. And I would like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank all of you for watching the Day 9 Daily. I am going on vacation now. Well, actually on Monday I'm starting. I'm doing work over the weekend. On Monday, I'm on vacation. No dailies until July. And the amount of support that I've been getting from everyone about it has been just totally overwhelming, and it's been so nice because I genuinely have an issue where if for some reason I can't do a daily, I feel guilty. I feel bad, like I have somehow left my child at the soccer field and forgot to pick her up or something like that, you know? But everyone has just been like, oh my god, it's awesome! Take a break, do all these things! And I want to know all your awesome suggestions because you are no different from me. We're nerds. We have nerdy hobbies. So if there's comic books you like, fantasy, sci-fi books, you think are great, video games, movies, TV series, anime, please ping me, let me know. I'll be going to a lot of arcades, a lot of tasty food in the Los Angeles area. I'm done. I'm done. Goodbye. Goodbye. Much love to all of you. Yes. Oh, I'm going to clean my room too. It's going to be great.